I had my first UFO sighting in Central Florida back in like 2018, in the time leading up to when I moved to California. And it was just myself in the car, and I'm driving down the road. I-4, the I-4 corridor. It's one of the busiest, deadliest traffic corridors in the United States. People are always getting in crashes on this highway. So I'm like 70 miles an hour down the road, entering Plant City, Florida, which is where I grew up. And something is like blinding me in my eyes. And I'm like, what is that? And I'm looking up in the sky and I see this thing there. And it is like the outside is entirely chrome and it's shaped like your kind of standard UFO, like an elliptical on its side. And it's just rotating and hovering. And because the craft is chrome, it's catching the light, and as it turns, it's refracting the light into my eyes while I'm driving. And I'm just like looking at this thing in the sky, like, what in the actual hell is
Like
that?
how high above you are we talking?
250, 300 feet.
Okay.
250, 300 feet off the ground. Pretty high up, but pretty close. Still close enough where the light is going to be reflecting into my eyes.
The light from your headlights or the light from
No,
what?
it's from the sun. It's like 11 o'clock in the morning.
Oh, gotcha.
The sun is beating down.
Gotcha.
Hot Florida sun is beating down on a craft floating just off the highway
This is during the day.
during the day.
Wow.
And flashing light in my eyes. And I just like, you can't really see it because it's the sun reflecting in your eyes, but I can see the outside edges of this thing. It's chrome, it looks like an egg, and it's spinning. And I was just like getting off the highway on my exit, just like keeping my eyes on it. Like, I really can't believe, what I'm seeing. And I get off the road and I continue my drive home, and I'm like, did that really just happen? Let it go. Let it go. A couple months later, on that same stretch of road, opposite time, 2 in the morning, opposite direction, I see like this orange orbish thingy, like an orange orb, like a street lamp orange. And it's like just hovering and flying over the highway really fast, really fast. It just like, I saw it, it happened. That goes on the maybe list. There's an airport nearby. It could have been a small plane, a very strange color, but whatever. It was like, whatever. 5 years later, I'm going to fast forward 5 years. So I have these experiences, and I'm generally open to the idea. I've seen something I don't know how to explain. I have 2 experiences 3 weeks apart on opposite ends of the country, and I catch both on camera. So, and this is what you don't hear on the TV show, because the footage is the footage of that incident, not very clear, especially when you like send it to other people. It needs to be viewed in the dark, because I was on a boat coming into the port of Miami at 4 in the morning, right? I just spent like 8 or 9 days touring the Caribbean. I mentioned earlier, I got friends I like to visit, see them on their shows. Shout out to my boy, Joey Hur. He's my best friend. I love him. It's great. We're coming in 4 in the morning. It's the end of the cruise. I've had a couple to drink, and I'm in the front of the boat with a beautiful woman. And I ask her, do you believe in aliens? And she's like, oh yeah, well, it's possible, I suppose. She's like a biology major. She's studying veterinary science. And we talk about it for like 5 minutes. I'm like, okay, cool. And then conversation ends. And I swear to God, as soon as the conversation was over, there it was. And it was flying through the sky above us. And I pointed at it and I went, oh, look, a shooting star. And then it just kept flying. And I was like, okay, it's a very large, fast, bright satellite, right? And then it stops dead in its tracks. It reverses course and it flies the opposite direction. And my jaw just like hit the fucking deck of the ship. I was like, and I'm looking at her and I'm like, are you seeing this right now? And she's like, yeah, I am. And I grab my phone and I boop, and I try to film what I can for the last few seconds. And on the footage, and I'll show you the footage. Maybe I can get an AI auto upscaled version of it. I've been talking about doing that to see if that makes an impact or not. But on the footage, you can see it if you take it frame by frame, because this thing is flying so fast. This thing is like flying like Mach 8, Mach 9. It's like a kid has a laser pointer in his hand and he's just firing it wherever he wants it to go. It was that fast. The fastest thing I've ever seen in my life. I swear on this water bottle on this table. I don't know. I know the stakes aren't that high with just a water bottle, but I swear on my life, what I saw was real and someone else saw it that night. And that thing maybe flew like 60 miles in like half a second. Like based off of where I'm standing on Earth and how high up this thing is and how far it's traveled from point A to point B, an impossible distance. And then it was gone. And the footage, you can see it. It just like, it shines and it has this shiny quality to it. Very like a silvery kind of light. That's why it caught my eye, right?
How big would it be? Like the size of a plane?
If we were looking at it, it's about the size of a satellite if you see it, but a little bigger and brighter and moving fast. I mean, it kind of had a like a trail to it too. It almost felt like it had some kind of a wispy quality, but I don't know if that was almost like just like a tracer effect because it's flying that fast. Or, you know, however that technology functions, you know, maybe leaves some kind of a trail or a reaction. So that happened. You see it flies in, boom. Total boner killer. Like seriously, like
I was curious.
I'm gonna tell this story. This is definitely
It was set up so well.
This is definitely going in my stand-up. Just add that to the checklist of things.
Yeah, you just stand up.
And I have a fashion line, and I drive a Tesla. And I know it's a Prius.
I got an app coming out as well.
Yeah, I like to joke that I got cock blocked by an alien, because after you see something like that, it moves you.
Yeah.
It changes you. Like you see something that breaks the laws of physics and it breaks your brain. So I was like, hey, I had a great night. I'm going to go to bed now.
Real quick.
I'm gonna go get another drink.
So and correct me if I'm wrong, but to me, it would be the speed would be the thing that really makes you, okay, that is not something. Because yeah, like you said, oh, maybe it's a satellite or maybe, but when you saw it move that fast in that direction, that's when you knew like, okay, this is not.
Well, when it came to a complete stop,
Right.
was when I was like, you know, like, did I have too much? Like, am I asleep? Is this all a dream? One thing that I've come to find, the stories of people I really believe have this one common theme, and it's really simple. They all say, I just don't believe my eyes. They are just in awe and shock. And they've witnessed something that feels like it shouldn't be real, but they've seen it, you know? And that is that's a very powerful thing. And it would make sense why our relationship with whatever that is out there is so complex and complicated, right? I'm sure the truth lies somewhere in the middle between grand government Men in Black conspiracy and a genuine concern of the broader implications of a predetermined meeting, if that makes sense, right? Because it would change everything. It does change everything. It changed everything for me, you know, realizing that there's something going on that the public doesn't know. Realizing that, you know, this is not being acknowledged in the way that it should be acknowledged, right? The public has a right to know. They should have a right to know because we pay for everything, right? And if we're at this point where this is regularly happening, or perhaps it's been regularly happening, and if we look at the history of it, it has been a regular thing for a very long time. But if we're arriving at this crux where there are enough people who are having experiences and who are speaking up about it, eventually it's going to happen, you know. Complete disclosure, probably, I would say. But let's get to the actual incident that put me on the show.
So that's just That's just leading up to this. What you're
Yeah,
talking.
it's
Wow.
but I think it's important to have that context because it wasn't just one incident, it was two. Now, are you ready to have your mind blown by some synchronicity?
Absolutely.
The day that I had this sighting was the day before Congress had its first open door meetings on UFOs. I had the sighting the night before this meeting happened, and we start having these conversations. So I have this experience. I'd say for like 3 days, I was really in this kind of like a trance almost, just lost in like thought and possibility, and realizing that I don't know shit. We don't know anything. What we think we know is like every month now is like it's out the window. It's like all these old outdated methods and systems, and it's getting faster and it's faster and it's faster. So I have this experience, go back home, go to EDC, go to LIB. I do that every year. I work each show back to back. And this year at LIB was miserably hot, like record-breaking heat for that part of the valley. Dust storms, dust devils. Pretty sure I got valley fever. I still love the festival. I still going. It's a big controversy online right now. I'm still going to the festival. I don't care. So I get off my shift and we're going back to camp. It's me and 4 of my friends, and we're just changing, getting ready for the night's fun and festivities. And I'm just like looking up in the sky because I'm always looking. I am always looking. That's after I had that first experience, you just never know when you're going to see it. I meet so many people that go, man, I want to see a UFO. The first thing I ask them was, when was the last time you looked? And they're like, oh, I've never looked. You're not going to see one. You're not going to see one if you're not looking, obviously. So I just see this thing in the sky. It's an orange orb. And it's an orange orb that looks a lot like the orange orb that I saw in back on that stretch of I-4 at 2 a.m. 5.5 years ago. That's why that story was important. So I see this thing and I'm like, I've seen this before and I haven't seen it since. So I take out my phone, having just had this experience in Miami, and I'm just boom. And I say to everyone, I say, this thing is acting weird. It looks unusual. I'm just going to film it. And I guarantee you, if this is a UFO, it's going to do something weird. And I'm tracking it for like a minute and a half. And I'm just about getting to that point where I'm going to put the phone away. And then it starts to like blink and glimmer. It's almost like it's imagine a darker orange than this light here. And if the power just started surging in here, what that would look like, right? The filter is hot and then it's cool. It's hot and it's cool. And it kind of had that effect in the sky. And then just got dimmer and dimmer and then boom, disappeared. Just became dark. Gone. Boop. I don't know if it was like a cloaking thing or if this thing was traveling at an incredibly high rate of speed and that's, you know, the light that was left behind from this craft, or if it went through some kind of a wormhole, or if it was a military project with some kind of a, you know, advanced cloaking thing. But, you know, my reasoning would think that if this was some kind of a man-made system, if it was going to go dark, it would just turn the lights off, right? I could understand why it might do that effect, but when I was on the show, I was like, I think it's a military aircraft, and the hosts brought up the possibility to me. They were like, have you ever considered that maybe they built the Air Force bases there for a reason? And I was like, oh, well, that makes sense. And people have sightings every year at this festival, and there was one this year too. I have the video on my phone. It's hella strange.
And you're talking about Life is Beautiful.
I'm talking about lightning in a bottle.
Oh, okay. I
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
mixing up the two. And this, and
That's
where is
okay.
this located at?
This is in Bakersfield,
This is in
California.
Bakersfield.
It's an hour and a half north of here. It's pretty close. It's a great show, great crowd, great people. and awesome music. I highly recommend it. So this thing goes dark, and everyone in the parking lot is like, "Oh!" All my friends are we all audibly gasp, and we hear people in the distance also going, "Oh!" And when I was on the show, they had pictures and different angles of this thing. It had been shot from other people too. So this was like a real mass sighting event above the festival that year, and it wasn't just us who saw it and experienced it.
What are you doing? Stop. Chill. I'm gonna keep watching this for a second. This is super unusual, right?
Look, it's dimming. It's dimming. It's dimming.
What the fuck?
Are you looking at the same thing?
Holy shit.
Shit, it just dimmed.
Oh my god. It's gone. It's gone.
No, it's still moving.
Where?
Always for your parents. Always for yourself.
I don't even see it.
You wish I heard.
Whoa.
That just happened, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it went away.
David Bowie, take me away.
How did you get on the show? Like, how did you?
So,
And what are you able to plug the show? Where people can check that out?
yeah, absolutely. The show's called Alien Encounters, Fact or Fiction. You can find it on Discovery Channel and HBO Max. It was streaming around number 7 before I left for the burn. Oh, excuse me. Yeah, it was streaming around number 7 before I left for the burn, which is really exciting. I'm really happy for the producers and proud to have been a part of that project. They flew me out to Roswell and we filmed live there. So I got to see that city for the first time. And I had applied to work as a production assistant, actually, and had mentioned that I had footage. And they were like, "We would love to see your footage." And I was like, "I'd love to show you my footage." And we instantly connected, and everything was verified, and it was a great fit. And I was out there filming just for a night. We flew in, spent the day filming, flew out, had a terrible dust storm, and when you watch the show, I'm like a little red and puffy because my allergies are so bad from this dust literally blowing sideways and blowing sand in your eyes, and I had to take an allergy pill, and it was just not good for
man.
me personally. But it was an amazing experience, and meeting other people and hearing their stories and their experiences is also really reaffirming, because you can feel kind of nuts sometimes when you are outspoken about something so different that was more formerly taboo, and even today is still a taboo subject. People are so afraid of being labeled as crazy, because that was ultimately what the government wanted, right? They wanted to discourage people from being open about it, and they did that by relentlessly mocking them. Or, in the case of Bob Lazar, the original Area 51 whistleblower, just ruining his life, And sometimes I wonder about that, but I have faith that there are more people today that want to talk about it and would want to support me on a platform than there are people who would want to stymie me, if that makes sense.